We record these meetings so that we can upload them to the CDTC YouTube channel for anyone who missed this. And good morning. I'm going to share my screen. Do people see my screen or do you see the presentation mode?
Presentation mode.
Yeah,
Okay.
presentation mode.
Do you see my screen now? Yes.
Good.
Okay. Apologies. We're having some, you may have seen, we're having some technology issues at CDTC. So I just want to make sure that things are okay. Okay. So good morning and welcome to the Community Planner Forum quarterly meeting. We've been doing this virtually for quite some time, so I don't think I need to go through the rules or suggestions for virtual meetings, but please do make sure that you mute your microphone while other people are presenting. And if you do have a question or comment, please feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand or put anything in the chat and we'll get to it. So I just want to go down the list of folks that I have on here. I'll say your first name, and then if you could introduce yourself, just where you're, what community or agency you are representing. So Melissa.
Hi, Jen, this is Melissa Cherubino. I represent the town of Glenville.
Thanks, Melissa. Peter.
Hi, Peter Comenzo, representing the town of Rotterdam.
And Al.
I'm Al Valkovic. I'm the supervisor for Schenectady City School District.
Great. And Ryan.
Ryan Riper, I'm representing the town of Wilton.
Thanks, Ryan. And Alfred.
Okay, I'm Al Karam. I represent Shenandoah Central Schools.
Great. Anna.
Anna Betham, planner, town of East Greenbush.
Kara.
Hi, I'm Kara. I'm a planner for town of Malta.
Catherine. Or Kate.
Having a problem with the mute button. Yes, Catherine
Okay.
Lawson, associate professor at the University of Albany. Here available for support and to learn more about the needs of the region.
Great, thank you. Ethan.
Ethan Warren, Capital District Transportation Authority.
Thank you. Floria.
Gloria Heisenda, planner, town of Malta.
Mark.
Good morning, Mark Serdam with representing the town of Hoosick.
Great. Nicole.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole, and I'm with Federal Highway Administration in the New York Division Office in Albany.
Great, thank you. Tina.
Hi, Tina Carton, City of Saratoga Springs, Sustainability.
All right, and then, so CDRPC, I see you guys have a bunch of people. Can you introduce yourselves?
Sure, Mark Castiglione. I'm the Executive Director of the Capital District Regional Planning Commission.
Kate Maynard, CDRPC, Planning and Economic Development.
Sean McGuire, Town of Colony. I was lonely, so I came here today.
I thought maybe, you went back, so.
Like a magnet, he's drawn back.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then Lindsay. Oops. Is there Lindsay Buck?
Yes. Yep.
Hi, Lindsay. What organization are you representing?
I'm with the town of Stillwater.
Great. Thank you, Lindsay.
You're welcome.
And then we have some CDTC staff. Hyam,
Hi, I'm Kyle Simon, Transportation Planner for CDTC.
Chris,
Hi, good morning. Chris Bauer, CDTC staff.
and Rima.
Morning, everybody. I'm Rima Shamia, Transportation Planner.
And I'm Jen Saponis from CDTC. Did I miss anybody? I hope not. Other people may join us as we go along. But thank you again for joining us. I know that probably a lot of folks on our Zoom today have received maybe some spam emails from CDTC, and we apologize. We've been having some email issues, but we are working on resolving it. And I did get a lot of bounce backs from folks saying that maybe their organization had blocked CDTC, but hopefully we will be reaching out or working with folks to get that all resolved and make sure that we're all getting each other's emails again. So again, just so sorry if you've received any of those spam emails from us. So today we have quite a few items on the agenda, but we first wanted to start with a discussion about school transportation challenges throughout the Capital Region. This is something that Rima and I and other CDC staff, of course, we're parents with kids in school, so we've been experiencing this firsthand, but it's been in local media and national media, just kind of covering some of the issues. And we have observed kind of some trends and like this conflict of more parents wanting busing, but also there being a real challenge of providing that busing. And a lot of the parents saying some of the reasons that they want the busing is concerns about walkability, about safety, lack of sidewalks. So we just wanted to kind of start a conversation. Rima has started working on a toolkit, a walk and roll toolkit for schools and local communities. So if there's any way that we can help exchange information and just kind of discuss potential solutions or resources that may be available that we can share, we wanted to do that today. So we have two representatives from school districts who are working on transportation issues, who have a couple of things that they've so kindly joined us today to talk about. So first, I will hand it to Al from the Schenectady City School District.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Just to give you a quick background on Schenectady City School District, we cover about 25 square miles. That doesn't include our out-of-district schools. We're kind of unique because we don't have our own buses, but we partner with 7 vendors that transport our students. 6 of those are private carriers, and then 1 we have as a public, which is CDTA. Our population is about 9,500 students. We transport about 4,800 of them. We service 11 elementary schools, 3 middle, 1 high school, and then 2 additional schools in supporting those middle and high schools. Total routes for the day are a little over 332. We also have a bunch of after-school programs that we provide for, like My Brother's Keeper, Chime, Theater Tech, Acting Academy, just to mention a couple. We also have a huge program that we provide for our students during the summertime. Besides summer school, that population is about 3,000 students, and we're anticipating providing transportation for at least half of those students. So looking at our business and trying to see, since we're unique and don't have our own buses, what are the issues that I'm seeing with the vendors, right? So when the first half of the year seemed to be going pretty smoothly. And then we started to have one of our vendors experience some driver issues where they were calling out sick. And it started to raise concern, within the district, and that started having an impact on the busing for all of our students. So partnering with them and leveraging the other 6 partners that we had, we were able to recover to provide adequate service for our students to get to school on time. But one of the things that I will make note of is I'm not sure if we're just in a driver shortage. I know that the pipeline may be drying out a little bit, and we need to be creative to find new sources for applicants. One of the recommendations that I would have would be to reach out to our busing monitors and maybe have some type of incentive there to try to get some interest to develop them into a driver situation that could also help backfill. The other piece is actually retaining drivers, right? It's almost like in any industry. You just want to make sure that and this is something that I preach to our vendors, is we just want to make sure that we have a solid culture for our teams, that we're treating them well, we have a good environment for them, and that we provide competitive pay. If we can staff the buses, right? I mean, we can get our kids to school. We also know, and it's that was noted on the invite as well, is there's a lot of other challenges out there with transporting a student to and from school and having them arrive on time. And it could be as simple as having a garbage truck in front of a bus, or a medical situation where there's an emergency, either a police car, or it could be another emergency vehicle blocking the way, or something along those lines, which leads to students arriving late. But those are the one-offs. So the focus for us here in Schenectady is just to make sure that we have a good partnership with our busing vendors, and that we utilize them to the best of our ability and support them in the process. So another thing could be where we allow them to recruit within the school district, as far as if there's paras that are interested maybe in driving a bus or being a monitor, that would be huge and would also assist. But those are some of the things that we're challenged with right now, is to ensure that we have folks in those seats. And again, if I could say anything to this or speak to this, I would say we've got to retain the drivers that we have, and we've got to do a good job in creating a positive atmosphere. The other piece is a concern is with, for us at least, I'd like to see us grow to have another vendor, which would expand our coverage. So as of right now, we have 7 vendors. I continue to put bids out for services that we need. And unfortunately, what it is, it seems as if we're getting the same vendors over and over again. So my hope would be is, we're going to start to get some entrepreneurs in the business for transportation. We need to grow that part of it. And then that's going to help Schenectady continue to be successful getting our kids to school, because as those new businesses come in, we can grow. And then we can offset issues with one vendor with another and have that coverage, so that we can ensure that we're providing a good service. One of the things that we did this year is we partnered with CDTA, right? So we've got to think outside of the box when it comes to transportation. And it's been probably 3 years, maybe 4 years in the making, where I partnered with the leadership team at CDTA to put a plan in place to start off with actually 10 routes that they're supporting us with to help us get our students to school. So the other piece is just thinking outside of the box, bringing in additional vendors, seeing who's out there that can assist. The 2 additional pieces that I would say that's going to start to challenge our industry right now is going to be the fuel prices, right? So I've already started to get some of our vendors, calling up and showing concern about, what the bid was versus now the fuel increase, and it's raising concern where they're looking for potential assistance. So this is something that we need to keep our ears open to, and just to make sure that and hope that in the near future we start to see those prices go down in that favor. Because if not, what's going to end up happening is I'll have to put that stuff back out to bid, all of our stuff, and then the pricing is going to actually go up. It will either go up, or we'll actually have some vendors that may not be able to service the school districts anymore based off of this. So this is another challenge, thinking outside of the box, that we need to keep our eyes and ears open to. And then the last piece would be is the increase in vehicle pricing. I know that everybody on this call has heard that, we're seeing regular cars increase in price by, 20–30%. And, it's even probably a better option just to purchase new, but the same thing is going to apply for busing. If we're looking to get buses in and replace stuff that's in our current fleets, it's going to cost substantially more to make that work, right? So those are some other things that we need to be thinking about. And then to wrap all of this up, I would say that Schenectady has done a good job with transporting students through the COVID process and ensuring that our kids are getting to school on time, safely and efficiently, and just making sure that we're supporting that process.
Thank you, Al. So do you mind, we'll go to Alfred and then we'll take questions or from folks. Okay, so we also have Alfred Karam from the Shenandoah School District, and he has some issues that he's gonna talk about.
All right, thank you. I'm the Director of Transportation for Shen. Let me give you a little bit of background about Shen. Our district is approximately 88 square miles. We have approximately 10,200 students and a fleet of 217 school buses, various sizes. By the way, all of our students are eligible for transportation, even if they live right across the street from their school. And we have a staff of about 277 employees that work in the transportation department. And as you may already know, Shenandoah is a large suburban district. It is primarily campus-based school system. There are 13 schools, 9 are located on the campus, and 4 are off campus. They're located between exit 8 and exit 11 on the Northway. Now, whether a district is located in an urban setting, suburban, or rural, every school district has its unique challenges regarding traffic, environment, and impact on school transportation safety. My colleague Al from Schenectady, he hit on a lot of salient points: driver shortage, driver retention, pay, fuel prices, prices for new buses. We all feel that effect. Let me share with you some challenges from a driver's perspective. So when all of our drivers are out there in an environment that is really hectic anymore with inattentive drivers and a lot of vehicles on the road, it makes for a very tough day out there. And some of those challenges, for example, and Al hit on one of them, you have landscape construction vehicles. They're out there doing work, and more often than not, at least in our setting, you have them parked on both sides of the street and very little space for a regular car to get through, let alone a school bus. And that creates unsafe conditions for our folks where we have to go down and back them up or find someone nearby to back them up to get them out of that area. Another example is untrimmed trees, low branches that actually impact buses. They cause damage to the top of the buses. At times they crack windshields. One of the biggest safety concerns that our drivers always come back and talk to us about is overgrown landscape, especially at intersections. These overgrown bushes, cause a school bus to inch up into the intersection. And, if you impede the flow of traffic and somebody hits you, which we've had that happen, then it's the bus driver's fault for impeding that flow of traffic. So it's really critical from a safety perspective for us to have these, whether it's on private property or public property, to have trees trimmed back and bushes trimmed back so our drivers can see. Missing illegible street signs makes it very difficult for school bus drivers, especially newer ones, to find their way around the community. Intersections with less than 500 feet of visibility, where you have maybe a curve in the road and you got maybe 150 feet of visibility, and you're trying to come out onto that road with a large school bus, that creates a lot of issues for our folks, again, from safety perspective. And obviously in a suburban setting, we don't have sidewalks, so we can't create walk and roll type of situations. So kids can either walk or bike to the school. That happens in a very, very limited fashion here at Shen. And the last piece, and this is for really town supervisors, if they're on here, we really got to have a positive working relationship, proactive working relationship with the town transportation supervisors, especially during inclement weather. We have to make decisions about the weather between 4:30 and 5 a.m. as to whether we're going to stay open, close, or delay. And it's critical that we partner with our town highway superintendents to learn and find out, how much percentage of the road network has been salted, plowed and salted, which is helpful in our decision-making process as to whether we should open, close, or delay. And the last piece I'll share with you is the American School Bus Council reports that for every school bus load of students, 36 cars are taken off the road. And I share this just to highlight from an environmental perspective, school buses, and I include all fuel types, by the way, do play a positive role in mitigating CO2 release into the environment. Today's school buses, and I know you hear a lot from vendors and others that, they try to scare people that, kids are dying from the fumes of diesel. Well, I would agree with that if you're talking about a bus from the 80s or even the late 90s. Today's school buses are 90% cleaner than older school buses. And so those are some of our issues. In 2019, before COVID hit, 2019-2020 school year, we had 197 school bus drivers. This year, we started out with 187 positions, and we have 169 drivers trying to fill those 187 positions. And like Al's situation, it's tough, it's stressful, but we're doing everything to make sure kids are brought to school. We look at the yellow school bus as the window to education. And thank God we have not had to shut down schools or tell certain parents, hey, your bus is not going to be running today because of lack of drivers. It is a challenge, and we're doing everything in our power to mitigate it. Now, these are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. So I think, at CDTC, we talk a lot about, mobility and transportation and safety, and we talk about vulnerable populations like children, but we don't always talk about school bus transportation or school transportation. So this is really enlightening to help with our local transportation planning efforts in safety and design and considerations for school buses and for consideration when we're looking at areas around schools. Does anyone have any questions for Al and Alfred, or Al and Al? I'm not sure. You can unmute or use the chat. Tina?
This doesn't directly relate to school buses, but we have one of our elementary schools. We've been having a significant problem with the amount of parents dropping students off, and then conflicts with the walking students because there aren't sidewalks. What's the guidance? Do you know what the guidance is for requirements for public noticing or any traffic studies that are required if you wanted to extend the school zone past where it currently is? To incorporate another block to make, one-way traffic, or not allow traffic during pickup drop-off hours or something like that.
So with Schenectady City School District, our guidelines are 1 mile or more for our elementary students, and then we would provide transportation. And then for our middle and high school, it would be 1.5 miles or more to provide that transportation. I hope I'm answering your question right, and it's something that I'm struggling with right now too. I've had a lot of leadership team within our district that would like to see transportation pickups at certain locations, right, to accommodate students. One of the things that we've started to develop, and I was working on this last week and trying to get it approved, is what are the safety guidelines that would guide the district into the transportation piece, right? So we have what the guidelines are to provide the transportation, but how do we provide that safely? And it's kind of like, the one-way streets, entering parking lots. And we took that and we put it into like an addendum, if you will. And we detailed out what were the concerns or what were the parameters around where we would transport to and from. Of course, knowing though that we have special ed requirements too that we need to meet. So we're struggling with that a little bit right now too, but I think the way that we're handling it in Schenectady is to put that safety piece in writing as a guideline to ensure that we're consistent and that we're showing the safety. Well, when I'm saying we're consistent, I'm talking about to the parent as well as the district, showing them what our values are, and then also just making sure that we're communicating that. Did I help with that?
Well, some of it is just in this area, I think the number of parents dropping off kids has tripled. And then it was an area that historically had more elderly population. And as the homes have gone up for sale, new families have moved in. So people hadn't been walking. And it's really the conflict between this walkers, all the people, it's not the school buses, they've been fine with the routing. But what's happening is because the way the school buses come in, all these other parents are now dropping off kids on these blocks adjacent to where that pickup is. And then there are no sidewalks. And then the kids that do walk are having conflicts with, the 160 cars that are showing up to drop kids off.
We're not seeing that so much to the stop location, but we are seeing it at the school locations. And the vendors have come forward to ask us to partner with the principals to ensure where the parking is supposed to be at the location for the parents to ensure that there's no conflict with the bus getting in and out of those locations and they can do it safely. That's been our partnership is with the principal.
Yeah, for us, Shen, yes, parent drop-off has tripled. And so that was one of our biggest headaches the past couple of years, working with our campus security, our town security, and the county sheriff department. We've been able to, for each location, and each location requires a different solution, but come up with solutions to keep that traffic moving. So we're not creating that undue burden on our local community. But it's a tough challenge. These schools and their parking lots were not built to handle 3 times or 4 times as much traffic for drop off and pickup in the afternoon. Like for example, here on campus, when school started, our north school, we referred to the 2 elementaries that are on the northern part of the campus. The traffic was backed up to Route 146, which is really unacceptable because you have commuters trying to get to work. So it took us a few days to mitigate that, trying different plans each and every day. And with that, folks, I apologize, but I have to jump on another meeting. Thank you for the invite, and have a great time the rest of the meeting here. Take care.
Thanks, Al. Yep.
Thank you, Al.
So researching school zone regulations is definitely something that CDTC can do, and maybe something that we can include as we pursue this walk and roll toolkit. I know that there have been changes at the state, the regulatory environment related to safe zones for schools. I know a lot of the urban districts have a much a longer or greater distance that you have to live from your school to qualify for busing. And it didn't, if it's, you have to live more than 1.5 miles, that didn't always, in an urban setting, take into consideration some of the safety issues that you're more likely to see there, like having to go through an industrial zone or going through areas where there are safety concerns related to crime. So I know that there recently have been changes to how those the safe walking distance is determined at the state level, but pulling together those kind of rules and guidance is something that CDTC can definitely do. Even asked if the drop-off increased because of COVID. Al, I don't know if do you see that as a, kind of a direct relationship to COVID and trying to protect kids from maybe contact on the buses, or?
I haven't seen a change, to be honest with you.
So that,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say, because I know Shen said that they had seen that, but maybe that was more of the suburban district saw more of that than the urban districts.
So
I'll just speak as a parent. I see it was at least last year it was COVID related, although we did have with a lot of parents not wanting to put the kids on buses. But this year, the parents that I know have all put their kids back on buses, but for some reason, this elementary school still has triple the amount of drop-offs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Tina raised a good point. Is there a way to promote, taking the bus to parents and to kids, and what are the issues that we can kind of help address? Is it, and is sustainability something that will get people back on the bus? Is addressing safety concerns something that'll get back on the bus? But those are definitely things to consider. Okay. So just to kind of wrap things up, CDTC can certainly help connect districts and local communities. I'm sure many of you already have existing relationships with your school districts, but we can continue to help kind of create that forum, connect people, also share data. CDTC has some, transportation infrastructure data like sidewalk inventories, trails, traffic and safety information, and we make that available to local governments, but we can certainly work with the schools also to address issues as they come up. Oh, and I noticed, Mark, did you have a comment on the school busing?
Me?
Yes, CDRPC.
No, that was just a lame joke about the owls on the call. That's a lyric from You Can Call Me.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, I embarrassed myself by being lame and not catching on to that. I'm sorry. Okay. I appreciate that. Okay, so with that, thank you, Al, so much today for, kind of shedding some light on some of these issues. I'm sure that we'll continue to talk about this. We talk a lot, about just transportation safety and resiliency and electric school buses, but we don't always talk about just school busing in general or youth mobility in general. So thank you. And I'll pass it to Rima to introduce the walk and roll to school task that we've created and how she is, what she envisions to how to pull that together. Rima?
Yeah, so thank you. I just wanted to echo what Jen said and just thank Al again for joining us today and talking to us about school busing. And I was actually really struck by just introducing the numbers, like the sheer size and breadth and scale of the operation, and like the number of buses and the number of routes and the number of kids that you guys move around every day all school year. I think it's pretty staggering. So anyway, moving on. Jen, can you go to the next slide? I just have a few points that I wanted to go over. So we had in the past been doing a bike to school challenge that sort of mirrored the bike to work challenge that we would do every year on bike to school, on bike to work day. And we're going to start sort of changing that up a little bit. So we're going to go more sort of multimodal and expand it out to make it more of a walk and roll to school program instead of just focusing on bikes. And this year, and I didn't put the date on, but we're trying to encourage regional schools who would like to organize a bike to roll event to do it around like late May, early June, so that it can coincide with our regional bike to school challenge. I'm sorry, bike to work challenge. I'm getting my program names all confused now. The bike to work challenge, which is going to be held on June 1st. So to go along with the sort of retooling of the school-based program, we're developing a toolkit to kind of just sort of give like the ins and outs summary of the Cliff's Notes tools on what schools and parents, volunteers could use to create an event at their school. So that's in development. And there's other toolkits sort of around nationally. They have things like, sort of a example press release, and they have like, materials to be handed out to parents, and ideas on like timeline of like, how to go about putting together an event like this, just so that parents and students and teachers don't have to start from scratch. So in addition to that, we're planning to hold an informational meeting in late April to so what we're planning to get are volunteers who have organized bike to school events or walk and roll events in the past in their own communities. We do have several schools that have participated in the bike to school day in the past. Get them together in the room and try to match them up with an audience of interested schools who might want to learn more about bike walk to roll, or are interested in holding their own event, so that they just get an idea of what is involved in making an event like that happen, and can get some answers answered, some questions answered by people in our region who've pulled off events like that in the past. So we're planning to do that in late April. And then I also just wanted to let you guys know that there is an opportunity to sort of preempt bike and walk and roll events with bike rodeo training. So we have funding available this year for bike rodeos that could be led by league certified instructors. So the League of American Bicyclists certified instructors, and there is a sort of a curriculum that they can implement for school age kids, which might be a good sort of like launching point for doing a walk and roll event. You could do some training, some safety training for your young cyclists and walkers before actually holding the event. So that's a possibility as well that we're working on. Could you go to the next slide, Jen? So, and then our bike to work challenge. As I said previously, we're going to be holding it on Wednesday, June 1st. It's a few weeks after the National Bike to Work Day, but we're hoping that those extra weeks will allow it to warm up a little bit more, get a little bit more brighter out and dry out a little bit to kind of capture more of those interested but concerned riders or those sort of newbie bicyclists. It's going to be similar to past Bike to Work Challenge events. We're going to offer t-shirts. Actually, right when COVID hit, was developing more of an automated website feature for onboarding teams and tracking team rankings. So we'll be launching that this year as well. And the Bike to Work Challenge is going to be followed immediately by a launch of the Ditch the Car Challenge, which is a challenge that we ran last year. So this is going to be our second annual Ditch the Car Challenge. It's going to start on June 4th and run through the summer. And it's a multimodal challenge that focuses on sort of utilitarian trips as opposed to recreational trips. So, you know, it's designed to try to push people more towards thinking about biking, walking, busing, carpooling, vanpooling, any mode that they might want to take besides driving alone in their vehicle in order to do things like getting to and from work or getting to and from a social event or a restaurant or an errand that they have to run. I think that's about it, unless anybody has challenges or questions.
It doesn't look like anyone has any questions. All right, thanks, Rima. As more information comes available, we'll definitely share that with the planner forum. So next we have some items that CDRPC is going to give us an update on. Mark and Kate, do you want to talk about?
Sure. I can talk about the CDTC Tech Assist program. We're going to be launching or opening up the next round of technical assistance program support after the federal fiscal year, state fiscal year, April 1st, April Fool's Day, right? So that program will be open again for small scale projects at the local level that tie back into the principles included in the New Visions Transportation Plan. And so support is available from both agencies for comprehensive planning, GIS mapping, other code audits, basically any small project that would potentially lead to bigger and better things at the local level, trail planning, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have an idea after April 1st, check out the link on both of our websites or just Google the Technical Assistance Program and one of our agency acronyms, and you'll be able to find the information on it. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kate Maynard to give us a presentation on the Future Leaders in Planning program.
Thanks, Mark. And I apologize for being awkward. I'm looking at the screen here and I realize I'm turned, the camera's straight ahead. So you're gonna get my side view as I kind of try to coordinate between the two.
It's a nice profile.
It's nice. Oh, well, thank you. This is a nice profile. So anyway, Kate Maynard, CDRPC, Future Leaders in Planning. Actually, very helpfully, there's a picture right on this slide of one of our visits that we conducted. Brief overview, Future Leaders in Planning. We did a pilot program in concert with our partners at Clean Tech, which is a program that high school districts participate in. The students attend their home district in the morning, and in the afternoon go up to the Clean Tech facility in Luther Forest for everything related to sustainability. And it's a great program in itself. What Flip was in 2019, and we did it again in 2021, with obviously the COVID break in 2020, is it's really a civic leadership engagement program for high school students. We're looking at rising junior and senior students. And the idea is to expose them early to everything urban planning, natural resource protection, transportation mobility, infrastructure, energy, sustainability in a very face-to-face manner. So this picture attests to one of our site visits. Throughout the week in the summer program, students have a chance to engage with decision makers around the region. Again, referring to the picture here, this was a visit in Saratoga Springs. Susan Barden, the principal planner there, was able to lead the students in this example around downtown and talk about long-term planning, as well as what goes into project by project, the planning aspects for that. So fast forwarding to 2022 with some very helpful assistance financially from CDTC as well. We are looking to expand the program. So we are in the process of looking at a central location such as UAlbany, University of Albany, to hold the program, and then also expand the numbers from the initial 15 is typically what it was in those 2 years I mentioned, to 30 students, and really look to diversify both geographically, where the students are coming from, as well as just access to students that may be interested in this early exposure program. So we are in the midst of it in terms of looking at partnerships with school districts. So I was excited to see 2 school districts on today in terms of expanding where we're able to access students and expand partnerships, UAlbany, CDTA. We're in the throes of all of that. So I would say if anyone is interested, please reach out, whether it's an idea, we're getting great ideas for potential presenters, locations, as well as access to students through either the school district level, BOCES level, etc. So that's the latest. The week we're looking at tentatively is in August for the program to continue.
Thanks, Kate.
Sure. Yeah, the Climate Smart Communities program, we were awarded a big grant to help communities work through that program last year. And we are still waiting on a contract. So we'll give you hopefully an update at our next meeting. Census updates, the full census data release has not yet happened, although the census is making an announcement today about some additional data that's going to be released. Once the full data set's released, we're going to be putting it on the CDRPC website and making available that data to municipalities. Currently, data is available on the decennial census for every census tract in the region, and demographic population changes by census tract and municipality is available on the CDRPC website. Just go to the data tab and scroll down to the census subpage. In addition, the ACS data on our Capital Region Indicators website will be updated to include the 2020 5-year ACS, which was just released last month shortly, so that'll be updated. In addition, I'm not sure if I mentioned it last time, the Capital Region Indicators website now includes dashboards for every school district and zip code in the 8-county Greater Capital District region.
Thanks, Mark. Okay. Just want to see. Okay. Sorry. Just want to make sure that some other items were included in here because my slides are a little bit out of order than the agenda, so I apologize for that. There are a number of upcoming training opportunities and workshops. The Creative Placemaking Leadership Summit is in Schenectady next month. CDRPC's Planning and Zoning webinar series kicks off in May and will be every Wednesday until June 3rd. Walk Bike New York registration is open. That is in May in Rochester. And CDTC continues to do the New Visions Learning Series and provide New Visions training by request. There are also a number of Climate Action Council hearings coming up. Some of them will be in person and they're all over the state. There's one in Albany, April 14th at Empire State Plaza, but there are also 2 virtual meetings scheduled. And This is to receive public input on the draft scoping plan related to the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. So we'll include some information about these upcoming meetings in the notes.
Hey, Jen, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, I'd like to just let people know that the Upstate American Planning Association Conference is going to be held in person this year in Buffalo, beautiful downtown Buffalo, on October 12th through the 14th. So
Great.
save the date.
Great, thank you, Mark. The New Visions Learning Series is a monthly virtual learning series that expands upon some themes and strategies that are presented in New Visions, our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Next Tuesday, we have a panel on the climate crisis and how to plan for a resilient transportation system. So we'll be hearing from our MPO friends in Rochester and how they've identified vulnerable assets and how they are planning to for investments on making them more resilient. We'll also be hearing from state DOT on the data in the state mitigation plan that they have available and how local communities can use that in developing their own resiliency plans. And then we'll also hear from Albany County and their ongoing resiliency planning effort that they are undertaking. And then in April, we have potentially have scheduled what can your regional planning agency do for you? Some updates on the TIP, and I just found out right before this meeting that we actually will not be having a March 23rd Planning Committee meeting. If you've been following our TIP update, we have been waiting for information on the funding allocation so that we can move forward in developing a program. We still do not have these. So we will be programming the TIP in April. We have to have an approved, adopted TIP by June. So it is important that we get this done in April. But as we learn more information, we will update everyone and update the website with our updated TIP schedule. The 2022-2023 Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP, was adopted on March 3rd. So the UPWP, this new UPWP is a one-year program. It begins April 1st and will end March 31st, 2023. So some of the new key tasks or things that I just wanted to highlight is, as you know, CDTC did a solicitation for both linkage and other regional planning initiatives back in the fall, and we received several proposals. Some of the projects that were chosen for funding include a asset management plan for the town of Hoosick. This isn't a type of plan that we've done previously, so we're really excited and looking forward to working with the town to develop this. The Brunswick-Hoosick Road Corridor Study, Sand Creek Road Complete Street Feasibility Study, the Schenectady, Albany, and Crane Streets Linkage Study. So Brunswick, Sand Creek Road, and City of Schenectady, those are under the umbrella of linkage. We'll also be working with CDRPC and local health departments on developing a prototype for a health impact assessment. So developing a tool that will help evaluate and assess how health is impacted in transportation investments and services and programs, so that that information can be used in policymaking and in the planning process. Resiliency and security planning. So we will be expanding upon this task in this UPWP by collecting information and assisting communities with identifying vulnerable infrastructure, and then setting the stage to develop a regional adaptation plan for climate adaptation plan. So hopefully by the end of this program year, we'll have a scope so that in the next program, we can do that. Capital Coexist, we are continuing that program. It continues to evolve. We'll be setting aside funds just for local governments to do demonstrations or pilots. So these would be temporary projects that are from recommendations from previously completed linkage or other types of planning studies. We're also setting aside funds to work with law enforcement and doing bicycle and pedestrian and traffic safety outreach in the community. And as Rima mentioned earlier, doing some bike skills training. And then we are renaming bike ped planning as active transportation planning. And this is just an effort to be inclusive of all of the new mobility services, new mobility devices that have kind of come under this umbrella of bike and ped. So scooters and other things, electric assist bikes. So as that space evolves, we're trying to evolve too. So if you see active transportation planning, that is a continuation of bike ped planning and just kind of acknowledging all these new modes that have come online since we've started that task in the UPWP.
Jen, can I just chime in for just a second?
Sure.
Or capital coexist. So when I was talking about walk and roll to school, I mentioned that we have funding to do bike rodeos, but I didn't mention is that we also have funding under capital coexist to do adult bike trainings as well. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thanks. So just an update on the status of CDTC planning initiatives. The Ballston Spa Pedestrian and Bicycle Master Plan has been completed, and the final plan is on the project website and will be uploaded to CDTC's linkage page. There is a public meeting for the Scotia Downtown Connections Plan scheduled for March 23rd. The final advisory committee meetings for the Patroon Creek Greenway feasibility study are taking place this week. And when there should be a final plan sometime in the next couple of months that will be on the CDTC website, and you can find materials, previously completed materials, including proposed alignments for that trail on the project website, which is patrooncreekgreenway.com. And we have a number of other ongoing consultant efforts, contracts, and those are all in our regional, in the planning initiative spreadsheet that went out with the agenda, but we'll include it in the notes if you are looking for the status of a specific project. CDTC will continue to collect information from local communities on ongoing planning initiatives, like some of the downtown revitalization initiatives, comprehensive planning, local waterfront planning, just so we can share that information with each other and learn from other efforts that are going on in the region. Are there any other local or regional updates that anyone would like to mention today?
Is it CLSC or completely unrelated?
I just encourage the attendees to keep tabs on the progress of the Cannabis Control Board in terms of promulgating their regulations related to retail cannabis and also commercial cannabis operations. We saw in the paper, I guess the first licenses are going to be going to convicted criminals, which is nice. Yeah, seriously, keep a tab on that, because there's a lot of potential planning issues in that area that will be shaped by those regulations.
Thanks. Are there any other local planning updates that anyone wants to share? Okay. So our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, June 16th. We're tentatively scheduled to meet at the Focus Lab in Troy. The Focus Lab is an effort from the Institute for Small Cities. I'm not sure if I got that correct, but you may have seen some of their ongoing webinar series. There is a local group that has been covering some topics related to small cities, related to sustainability and development, and they have launched a storefront that is going to serve as kind of this urban living room and a place to demonstrate some local planning and sustainability strategies. And we're really looking forward to be able to bring folks there and have the group that's been leading these efforts talk about this place, talk about their program, and talk about what their vision is for the use of this space and how local communities can get involved or use it. So we'll provide more information as that date gets closer. But we are excited to see people in person and to meet again. And hopefully we can schedule more of these field trips or just on-site types of meetings. After that, our next meeting is in September, and we'll evaluate what the guidelines for meetings and public health are at the time and decide then whether or not we'll continue to have virtual meetings or in person or hybrid. But we'll probably be reaching out to everyone to ask what your preference is, to see how this virtual arrangement has been working out for folks the last couple of years, if this is something that people want to see continued, or if they would prefer to come in person for meetings. And if we can accommodate that, we certainly will. So with that, thank you, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And we will see everybody in June.
Thank you.
Thank you.